Tissot just released the second generation of the PRX Chronograph, and they just did a masterclass on how just changing a few details of the dial, they can create something perfect. And this is a perfect example of what you have to do when you want to evolve a product without losing its essence. At first, when I was brainstorming on how to make this video, it seemed a bit exaggerated to say that changing the dial makes this watch a different product, because as it is, it's just a change of dial, nothing more. The watch remains the same. The movement, the structure, the architecture, all the same. But when I put the previous version and the new one side by side, the new one truly looks completely different. Now, we have talked a lot about the PRX on this channel, simply because it is a watch that revolutionized the industry in a way. It is a watch that took Tissot to a new level. The advantage it has is that it is an original design from the 70s by Tissot. But I think one of the biggest strengths of the PRX is that it scratches that itch that people like us who like the AP Royal Oak have. And what I like is that I think it's an honest way to aspire to a more expensive watch without stealing the design. And I think out of the whole PRX family, the one that comes closest to the feeling of having a $50,000 watch on your wrist is this new chronograph. But let's start from the beginning. Although it seems I'm getting off topic a bit, everything is actually connected. But first, let's analyze the previous version of the chronograph. It is a nice, robust watch with a classic panda dial, but if you ask me, it lacks something to take that leap. If you tell me this watch is worth $2,500, I believe you, and maybe even wait for a discount. But then Tissot hits us with the new version. I want you to see the new dial of the Tissot PRX and look me in the eyes and tell me it doesn't look like a completely different watch. It went from being a watch that costs $2,500 to a watch that plain and simple looks like it could easily cost double of that. Obviously, the first change we see is in the color, because we no longer have a solid color throughout the dial, and we no longer have a different combination between the dial and subdials. Now we have a metallic olive green with smoke edges, which truly give this watch the enhancement it needed to make it one of the best watches in Tissot's lineup. Next, if you notice, Tissot made the right decision, if you ask me, to add the tapisserie texture, that is those squares you see around the dial. And this texture is used in classic royal oaks, but they elevate the watch a lot for the simple reason that you are giving volume and depth to the dial. Not only with the color difference from the edge to the center, but also with the texture. And now I'm going to tell you a detail that when I tell you, I'm surely going to feel very silly saying that it makes a radical change. But personally, it was what caught my attention the most, and it's a silly thing. It is a tiny detail that completely elevates the level of this dial. And curiously, it's the date window. If you notice, in the previous version, we don't have any frame around the date window. But in the new version, we have this steel color frame that surrounds that date and makes this dial make sense. It's these little details that one might think are insignificant, but they actually make a complete change in the watch. And now you're surely going to say that I'm exaggerating because I really like this watch. And maybe you're right. But if we compare the previous one with this version, just tell me which one looks more expensive. Let's consider that they obviously cost around the same. But there's definitely a big difference that makes the new watch look more refined, better crafted, of higher quality. I mean, it even shines differently. I don't know. And the second point, that this watch scratches that desire to have a royal oak. That's true for most people who maybe can't afford to buy a $40,000 or $50,000 watch right now. But undoubtedly, if you save up, you can afford certain luxuries. Maybe you can invest $2,500 in a watch that is sincerely spectacular. A robust watch from a brand that is very, very old and filled with quality. But what do you think? Do you think it looks like the royal oak or not? And do you think it scratches that itch to have a much more expensive watch, or do you think it just makes it worse? Now guys, remember that more than 90% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed, so if you like talking about watches, talking about the market, please click that subscribe button, click the bell, and I'll see you here next time.